great. It's so nice that we met. I was to record this like for such a long time, and I was just traveling one time, and that's so nice to have you on Crosstalks right now. Uh, I adore your creations and your creativity, how you educate people on augmented reality, but it's also really interesting to know how you started your journey. And let's introduce yourself, how you appeared in augmented reality.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, hi. My name is Kim Alban, and I'm from Queens, New York. And honestly, I have a fine arts background. I started one of my first degrees, my associate's degree, with photography, and always since I was young, I was always mixing mediums, um, like drawing over my photographs, making filters like physically on my camera. When I was an SBA, and my teacher actually thought that was pretty interesting. And I had a vision for like really combining a lot of these graphics with photography and just like the real world before I came across augmented reality. I was mainly doing it through like post production and stuff like that. So when augmented reality, when I came across it, at least I was fascinated, and I was like, this is what I imagined. And this combines like the ability of so many things, so many visuals, and actually making it, uh, living alongside it in real time. So it was really just like a dream realized. And I couldn't stop, but I knew that a lot of other people would want to be interested in it as well. Long story short, I did end up, of course, um, pivoting away from fine arts and moving into the world of design, where it's really about utility and that sort. So when I make a piece of content, I think about the way that it can be incorporated just for art, and then also the utility behind it. And so I'm like, I have an endless bank of ideas. And I know that so many people are interested in it from different angles as well. So I try to educate as much as I can and make fun stuff along the way.
Yeah. And it's kind of really a great idea to create your own brand. It's always helps to get you clients. So to jump on that section, like how educated brands are coming to you, and do you have some really amazing stories to tell, like how you started the journey, and what is the difference between the pros and beginner clients?
Yeah. Well, I think number one, putting yourself out there in whatever, you know, that might mean. But for my use case, like content, I've been able to have amazing opportunities in a sort of educational kind of way, or just like purely creation. So recent collaborations that I had, sort of sponsorships really, is with Adobe. And they had Adobe Max, now somewhat 2 months ago-ish, but I was on board with making filters on for their TikTok account, um, more so hosted on my account, uh, emphasizing creativity and like having fun with it. So that was very exploratory and like very fun. And it was all because I just like made a bunch of content, and I had put it out there, and you build this, as you said, the brand for yourself and how you might want to be approached. So that was a lot of fun. And I also got to have some work shown at Adobe Max, and really purely just because of the content that I'm making, and it's just out of my own curiosity. So that was really fun. So I got to work in like two different ways, like a contract basis where you're making a filter, and also an AR experience, for their Adobe Aero kind of product, which very different from filters. Not like a crazy amount different, but just different like thinking, at least, when you do something sort of in public for people that will use it in a space. But fun nonetheless. It's very exciting.
True. Um, can you give some kind of like advice to newbie creators who are just starting out and don't know how to communicate with the clients, like in sense of like whenever you have to provide content ideas and client doesn't know exactly what they want, but they want to implement AR in their strategies. So what is the process? What type of brainstorming are you going? Like you need some time for brainstorming, or are you asking some question? What is your secret formula?
Yeah, for me and for everyone, clients know who their competitors are. They know off the bat because they had a problem and they're always looking at their competitors. Know your enemy is an expression. Yeah, the competitors aren't necessarily the enemy, but they're exactly competition. So you want to be studying them closely. So when you have a client that approaches you, and I actually made like a freebie kind of PDF of like questions to ask stakeholders, and I think it's a really great guide for any project that you might be working on how to approach and like what questions you need to be asking stakeholders. I have a lot more experience at this point now, but the number one piece of advice is like, you shouldn't have all the answers. You're making something with someone. They have a lot of historical context and knowledge that you need to be getting out from them. So a lot of it needs to start with that. Who are your competitors? What are some success metrics that you have in mind that would make this project successful? Do you have a certain vision in mind? Who's your audience? What are the important areas that this product needs to like talk to or speak to in general? So lots of different questions there that I do have a freebie on, and I try to, get out. If it's like purely creative, there are still some guidelines. So even though this client might be reaching out to you because they love your creativity and things like that, and they want you to make things for them, even though that might be the case, there may be like one or two things that they still want you to make purely for them. So like, okay, I love your art. I love whatever you're making, but just make sure to like include my logo or like make sure to include these value propositions in your piece or like these guidelines. So that is like around the realm of like purely creative. They may want you to like stick to some type of brief versus making a product for someone specifically. But yeah, all in all, the person that came to you has a lot of information of what they want you to make it and why they might want you to make something for them. So just try and get it out of them with a few questions.
So you have to ask right questions.
There are a few different areas that are important to touch, like why are they approaching you in the first place? I think is the biggest area to surface. They might already surface that as soon as you talk to them. But for example, like when I worked on the Adobe filters, they had a creative brief. So they were like, go be creative. Here's some things that we definitely want you to include. And when you're iterating over it, if you need to, and you might, because they have their goals, you have your goals. And of course, as a creator, if you feel like perhaps the iteration, you want to try to limit the iterations. If you have, honestly, I would recommend doing that in the very beginning. But everyone has goals for what they want. Like, unless it's a completely unique, someone's commissioning you to make an art piece and things like that, and they have complete like trust in you to do so. If they explicitly say that, then of course go crazy. But more oftentimes than not, they want you to at least like fit in one or two specific things from the service that you're providing for them. Because at the end of the day, it's still a service.
Sure. And are you also providing kind of like mood board at first, or how you're approaching them? Are you showing your portfolio? What is the best them to understand what are you talking about?
Yeah, in terms of process?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fortunately, I'm at a point where people have seen my work. So more often times than not, I don't need to provide a portfolio. But if we're working on a project together, like from an art kind of realm, and even from design, honestly, we'll have an idea. We'll talk about pain points. We'll talk about what the vision is. I will go back and do some exploratory research. I'll create a mood board, or I will create some type of visual that I have in mind. I'll talk about this with the client. Um, they may have one or two things to pick at or like need clarity on. And then if they sign off on that point to like continue the work, then that's when I'll go in and do the finer details and, like iterate, create a lot of ideas from that um, sketchy sort of like ideas and drafts. I will bring them back to them. You want to always keep your client in the know. You don't want there to be any surprises. It's just great communication that you want to build throughout the whole process. So as soon as you bring that idea back, now sketches, if they continue to sign off on it, then you're good to add more detail and like more details, colors, make final decisions on. You go and make it really, really refined, bring it back as the final piece. And at this point, they have already agreed to the mood board, the visuals, the drafts. Now the final piece is here. And if they have any like one or two specific things that they want to change, I try to always limit revisions at the very beginning to like 3.
Yeah, I'm about
yes.
it.
Yeah. So the reason I hear, yes, having a contract, you will avoid yourself, like you will avoid the headaches, the everything and the time wasted. But that is also why you definitely should be communicating throughout the whole time. Because like I said, you don't want any surprises, and they should be agreeing throughout the whole time. So sometimes at the very end, there'll be like some revisions. I try to limit it to like around 3. Also depending on what the project is. But if it starts to get like really out of hand, I try to bring up the point that they've been communicated with, they've been shared, they've been within this process throughout the whole time. And at this point in time, it would really cost more to redo the whole project than to add that like really, really just like crazy vision. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the same problem on cross creators, and that's why we decided to make it automatic. And somehow, like all creators do have these 3 revisions, and like we always educate clients that they have to revise it properly and not to just ping and just send the questions one after time, but like to make it in total and whole. I wanted to talk with you about metaverse hype stuff and like this AI stuff. So you have a lot of clients, I'm sure, like who are asking you to make some metaverse experiences. How you are relating them and how you are explaining that augmented reality is one of the tools for metaverse. So as augmented reality is not that hyped in sense of keyword, metaverse is much more. So how you educate your clients and how do you communicate with them? Do you talk with the keyword of metaverse or are you still sticking to AR experiences?
Yeah, I actually stick to AR experiences more than anything. At least I'm finding that metaverse conversations, there is some curiosity on how it might be, but when it does come up, I try to educate and this is the thing with the creators, like, yes, you're going to be creating a lot, but you're going to be educating so much more. So it's very important for you to get comfortable communicating. It's like the number one thing that's going to get you the clients and sell them. When people do have the like sort of questions of what is the metaverse, like, do we have to strictly stay within the VR realm and things like that? And it's just like, well, if we think about it as the internet experience, then really it could be a slew of mediums, and it shouldn't be necessarily like stick to just VR. There's so much power that AR has because a lot of people already have devices. A lot of people are comfortable with our number one device versus headsets. So we want to get the largest group of people. And how do we do that? By AR. It's the most accessible and it's the quickest solution for a metaverse. That still counts as metaverse. Like it shouldn't just be only like thought of as just a VR experience, because that would be very limiting and we would leave a lot of people out of it. A lot of people still don't have VR headsets. So it's still a means of connecting a lot of people. And in a sense, AR does a greater job at connecting a lot of people just faster, since it is more accessible, since everyone has a phone.
Yeah. Where do you find inspiration? Like you talked that you were like ideating, you are making a lot of content, you are making educational content, you are making content for your clients. So what creators are complaining every day with me is that sometimes they're losing this creativity source. So I'm really amazed how you're doing that. And do you have any kind of secrets, maybe?
Yeah, I honestly, I have taken the path a long time ago of like only making art and I burn out fast. If I have to think of new ideas every single day, when it comes to content for a creative, I don't think it's very healthy to make a new, like out of the depths of your creativity type of piece every single day. I think it'll definitely catch up to you. Um, and you'll feel pressured, of course. So I try to approach content in a way that, okay, I don't have to make something every single day. Maybe I can make it 1 or 2 times a week. And the other type of content I can use to educate someone about something, show someone how to do something. And that actually helps me split up my content a lot more. And it takes the pressure off for me having to be a creative every single day. I'm always creative, but at least for me, I find that if I do make something every day, it's not going to be the best. And I have tried this before. So I do myself a favor and allow myself to take more time to invest in the projects that I really, really want to invest in and the content.
Yeah, really interesting approach. Uh, Still, you're delivering every day, and it's kind of like that you're thinking about it. So it's also it's creativity. Kim, what would you say to those brands who are not approaching augmented reality in their marketing mix yet? So besides that, it's really accessible and everyone has the mobile phone in their phones. Like, why they should really care about AR experiences? That they are doing static images, video production, still like sometimes TV advertising.
Yeah. The fascinating thing with augmented reality and when I talk to brands, um, is that you're really allowing someone else to experience it in a personalized setting. They can take that brand and take it to them into their home. They can anywhere they might be. And that is the amazing thing about augmented reality is that it's overlaid onto the world. So, you know, brick and mortar shops are wonderful, but they're and online experiences, the web are wonderful, but they stay there. And that is basically it. We're seeing so much of a rise in AR fashion and it looks beautiful. It's different experience. People are creating um, different personalities from it.
Yeah.
And that is something that brands have really the power to extend and being more than with these new technologies. Nike is really investing in lots of XR opportunities, Web3 new opportunities, and it's really doing amazing for them. For AR visuals, not only can people take it within their home, they can also, if it's geolocation based, you can have a whole event be taking place.
Yeah.
It could be that much more amazing. And all you really had to do was just create that experience from your computer. You don't necessarily need to have people there, but it would be also adding to the whole event. And there's one coming up here in New York, of course. It's the Gorillas. It's a band. They're having like a live performance in Times Square, AR, life size. It's going to be incredible. And of course, it's going to be in a populated place like Times Square, where a lot of people are going to be able to experience it and be a part of it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, enjoy the whole aspect of the concert. And yet,
this brand was always forward thinker. Like they are always upfront of their like time.
Exactly. And this is the incredible part of it. Gorillas, we've never, I mean, if you follow the band, you probably know what one of or two of them look like in real life. But their visual presence is a cartoon.
Yeah.
So they're taking it and applying it in a medium that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone wants to experience that. And that actually takes, like, you can make a whole presence online, as someone briefly mentioned before. It could be an avatar, it could be anything, and just take it forward with these mediums. And that's a possibility that was probably just really, really hard to do, even like some 15 years ago-ish or such.
Yeah. But like some of the brands are more concentrated, like their main objective is to boost sales at the end of the day. So within the boosting sales, if it's not e-commerce or retail, they're not quite like creating ideas how they can use AR experiences, because that they don't see the direct link how they sell tickets or how they sell the actual products. So what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say one of the best solutions that I've come across as a real use case was when I was moving, I needed to buy a couch. And I hate buying couches online because when they get to you, they're too big to do anything with other than just keep it. So you end up really hating that experience if the couch doesn't turn out to be what you expected. Something that takes a little bit more thinking, just from a UX standpoint, like buying a couch or something that is really going to impact your life, could be alleviated with customer service through an AR experience. So you have real world or like real size 3D objects. And I took this couch and I placed it in my living room at the time because I really wanted to see how big is it? What is it going to take up? How is it going to look? What's the color like? And I was immediately impressed that I was able to see that before heading into the store and before it got to my home. I opened it up into my living room once, went to the store once, and then ordered it online, and it came. And it fit my expectations completely.
Yeah.
So things with furniture are incredible, and they save so much time, so much hassle, and they save customer support on any type of just problem solving or returns, which are expensive to the company. So overall savings that saved the company, saved me a lot of time, a lot of money.
True. We're living in really interesting times, and like AR is still evolving because like sometimes even though we have this accessibility on our mobile phones, if effect is not simple or experience is not simple, users can't use it properly. So how do you think that augmented reality will evolve in this like 2-3 years? And what is your picture of AR experiences in sense of like Metaverse and Web3?
Yeah, I think that we're going to be moving into a more personalized space. Of course, we are still talking right before Apple releases their headset, whatever that is. And now the two companies that rule everyone's world are Apple and Android. As soon as they standardize these design guidelines, we'll have a more streamlined process. We have, as soon as Apple made their design guidelines and Google made their design guidelines, we had also a more like streamlined web approach, and how we approach responsive design There are a lot of rules there that have to go in place, and we already know what the web looks like. Right now, we're suffering from too many devices, too many different looks, there are too many things happening right there. But as soon as we get one of these big giants to really release one of their products and create operating systems around that, we'll see a lot more standards and a lot more guidelines being in place. And I think that we'll have a lot more companies jumping on board and really making more apps, experiences based on these, because now will be rolled out by them. And from that, I think that we'll have more personalized experiences like within our hand. With the emerge of Web3, I think that that will definitely empower creatives and a lot of people to own their content, have experiences that are within their niche, like completely. And there's so much within Web3 that, would alleviate like the concerns of privacy and all of these devices being within the home. But I do foresee people having like smarter homes, more in-home kind of experiences or personal experiences. Like we have Google Maps and you could save all of your pins and everything like that, but it's still tied to your account. But if it were more embedded to like your phone, and let's say you opened it up, or a system that's like, hey, you're here right now. Here's where you visited in the last few years. Maybe you want to save this somewhere else. So like really, really fitting to our needs. And I know you must have seen like a cooking kind of example of AR. Those are really, really wonderful. And I can't wait for those to come out. And we have QR codes really just like surging since COVID, because of course no one wanted to pick up a menu for cross-contamination. Now I think taking a step just further with AR, you could visualize all of the plates. This is also a prototype that someone created, all of the plates that are on the menu before even ordering it. So you won't even have to go to Yelp, like the app. You'll just open up your phone and be able to see what the dish is, which is a lot more different than, this is personally how I order. If I'm in a restaurant, I've never been to it before, I want to see the photos on Yelp before I order something. And AR would just like skip that process. I'd be able to see it. I think we are going to be opening ourselves up to a really different world, but it's going to be really exciting. And now with tools like ChatGPT, like it's crazy. We're going to have really, the way that I see it, within a few years, AI and AR will set us up and like superpower us. Be more productive, to have different experiences. And it's going to be like the way that iPhone changed our lives. That's going to be the next, I think, really, really impactful combination that is going to change the way that we experience and do things in life.
So I wanted to jump on AI stuff as well, because like it's so popular right now, and I see that you're using it somehow in your creativity and collaboration with clients. Can you elaborate more on how you are using AI to create AR?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I had a client that I was talking to the other day that they were talking, they know the importance of AR within business, the way that you can actualize things, actualize products, and that saves time. What I was curious, I asked ChatGPT what they thought the impact of AR could be for businesses. And it did a really great job at explaining the like just general overview of how it could impact business, how it could save businesses money. And then I was like, okay, ChatGPT, tell me the specific success metrics that businesses can use to track AR, like how they can use it for themselves. Since that's the number one thing that they're going to ask. Great, I love AR, I love how it looks. What can it do for my business? And it lists these so many things that are very much business related. And I know, because as a designer, a lot of my designs need to fit these goals. They have to. We have to tie it back to it. And I was so impressed that it saved me time having to explain all of it, and I could save that somewhere and then just use that for the next time I'm going to talk to a client.
Sure. And also maybe you can use for creativity some like text to image as well, like whenever like you want to explain what you're thinking about, and AI will give you. It's really interesting, and it's really interesting to have like future talks about it also, and maybe we can set up a call on that
Yes.
to make it more workshop style. Maybe whenever you are just creating something somehow, it will be amazing to have this kind of conversation with you as well.
Yeah.
Really interesting to talk with you. You have amazing ideas, and not only amazing ideas, you look great. And I
Thank you.
thank you so much. So like it was pleasure to meet you, and I'm sure that we will meet offline as well and exchange our ideas.
Thanks again for having me. And this was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and let's have chat afterwards. Bye bye.